Guys, welcome to 5-1 Volleyball. My name's Dan, and I'm here to give professional volleyball the coverage it deserves. And in this video series, I'm going to be talking about the best prospects from around the world in volleyball. Guys that have the potential to be the next generation of superstars in our sport. The first player I've chosen to cover is one of the youngest players competing in international volleyball, and also one of the shortest. That player is Yuji Nishida of Japan. Or, if Google Translate is anything to go by, Yuji Nishida. Let's start off by talking about some of the physical attributes of Nishida, because that's probably one of the most unique things about him. He's only 6'1", or about 186 centimeters tall, which is absurdly short for an opposite. I can only think of like one other player who's around that height, Protopsaltis, the Greek national who plays on Friedrichshafen. But other than that, there's almost no one at his height competing at a high level, international or club volleyball at 6'1". It's just amazing. To make up for his small height, he has a big jump. He touches around 11.5 feet, which equates to a 44-inch vertical for him. That's elite no matter what sport you're competing in. True to his namesake, he basically jumps like Yoshi from Super Smash Bros. Nishida has followed that up with an absolutely incredible play this season in the V-League. He's third in the league in scoring with 404 points, or 5.68 points per set. Now I want you guys to look at the two players who are ahead of him. First, Dmitry Mazursky, 7'3", one of the best middles in the world. And then you have Thomas Edgar at 7 feet tall, an absolutely incredible opposite from Australia. Then you have Yoshi Nishida, bringing it up in third with 404 points at 6'1". Although, Stupid Bear is hot in his tail. Similar to how they do it in Canada and the United States, most players in Japan complete college after high school and then they go play professionally. So for Nishida to go straight from high school to professional leagues is almost unheard of, and he's a real trailblazer in that regard. So even though Nishida is absolutely killing it in the Japanese V-League this year, let's talk a bit about his play with Team Japan, because that's where I was first introduced to him, and I'm assuming probably you guys are mostly the same. At the Nations League this summer, he scored 187 points during the tournament, the fourth highest total among all players. That's pretty good for an 18-year-old taking place in his first tournament at the senior international level. Japan only lasted 5 matches at the World Championships this summer, in my opinion mostly due to a really tough pool, but in those 5 matches, Nishida scored 59 points while splitting time with Isaiah Take. So, a big question that I have not answered yet is how is a 6'1" opposite, who's 18 years old, one of the leading scorers at all of these tournaments? First of all, the kid is an absolutely elite athlete with a huge vertical jump. It doesn't matter how tall you are, if you're attacking at 11.5 feet, you're attacking at 11.5 feet. As you can see here, his big vertical allows him to avoid the single block and get the point with relative ease. One of his other best physical attributes is that he has an absolutely wicked arm swing. It is super fast, the ball gets to the floor very quickly, and he's able to hit sharp angles that not a ton of other players are able to hit effectively. Even though the defender in this clip was in position to dig the ball, because the ball was traveling at such a high velocity, he didn't really have a great opportunity to make the dig. This powerful arm swing also helps a lot on his jump serves, where even though he's not the most consistent, he delivers a ton of power. One of my favorite examples of this was that match in the World Championships against Slovenia, where he had 6 aces in the match. One of the main things Nishida struggles with, which is something I can relate to, being an undersized wing that relies on their jump and attacking, is blocking. It's just such a big disadvantage to be shorter when you're blocking, even if you can make up for it in attacking with a high vertical, because the time it takes for you to get up in the air is just so much longer. It's a lot harder for you to cover ground, and it just takes longer for you to get from your outstretched hand position to over the net blocking. It's just tough. And it got so bad at points for Japan during the World Championships and Nation League that they would often just sub him out in the front row and have Otake come in, or another player like Ishikawa play the right side position, just so they could have that little extra bit of blocking, because Nishida is not quite there with it yet. That being said though, he has scored 34 blocks in the V-League so far this season, so maybe that is something he's improving on and actively working towards, and we'll see, maybe even at 6'1", maybe he can be an effective blocker. If Tani Udi can do it, anyone can do it. Another situation where I would like to see Nishida improve in is in out-of-system balls. We know Japan is really effective when they get that dime pass and they're able to run their preferred offense, but like a lot of players in Japan, he struggles a lot more when he has to play out of system, when the sets are coming from positions 1, 5, and 6. He doesn't have nearly as many angles when he's attacking the ball, and no matter how fast or how hard your arm swing is, there's no way you're going to make it past the triple block where all the players are half a foot or more taller than you. He is getting a lot better though. We can see in this clip he manages to hit the top of fingers against a really well established Slovenian block. So if he manages to get creative and really learn to hit those fingertips, I think he can improve a lot in that situation, which would improve his overall game by a big margin. So what does the future hold for Yuji Nishida? We've seen some high-profile Japanese players leave Japan recently. Most notably, the last kind of superstar prospect Japan had, which is Yuki Ishikawa. Now, Yuki Ishikawa, even though he's a bit undersized too, is more of a typical prototype for an outside hitter. There isn't really like a really short opposite playing at a high level professionally anywhere else other than Japan. But like I said earlier, he still is only 18 with a lot of room for improvement. A lot of you may be thinking that the description of Nishida sounds a lot like another famous Japanese player. You know, another undersized lefty opposite that has played for the Japanese national team. And you're right, he has a lot of similarities to legendary Japanese player Shimizu. Both have a wicked arm swing, both are undersized with a huge vertical. Shimizu's been a staple of the Japanese national team for a long time. That's a great player comparison for Nishida, and it would be amazing if he eventually is able to reach the levels that Shimizu did. That being said, there isn't really a prototype of what Nishida can be overseas and at the highest level. He did play outside in high school, he does have that reception, but in my opinion, his receiving and ball skills aren't quite at the international level right now. It's really hard to be at that level at 18 years old, even if you are a dedicated outside or libero. So I think eventually he might have to make the move to outside, which is also tough as a lefty. But if he can do that successfully, he has all the talent, all the hard work, and all the athleticism in the world to be an incredibly successful player and a big name in international volleyball for the next 15 years.